Hello, Patreon folk. How are we all? I can see that some of you have already come in. I'm running a wee bit late tonight, like always. Scrambling to get ready at the last minute. Just catch up with your chat. I can see that there's quite a few in with you and with me already. Fantastic to see you all. Who do we have in tonight? Let's Drink Whiskey. Fantastic. Dino use a different name. Who is Let's Drink Whiskey? I think we had a conversation earlier this week. I think I know who you are. Apologies for forgetting. Sid, good to see you, Sid. And Scott, fantastic to see you, my friend. I'm delinquent and reaching out to you, Scott, for us to hook up at some point. I hope life has been just as fun and busy with you as well. But we need to get that sorted. We live in the same town, man, and you've got one hell of a Lagavulin collection, right? So, yeah, we need to get that sorted out. Hey, James Hope's in. Fantastic, James. Good to see you. Whiskey Wolf, fantastic to see you, my friend. Good to have you in again. Drinking Caveman Charles, wow, it's really early where you are, and it's fantastic to see you. You're saying, damn, almost joined the hangout. Yeah, just rushing around to get everything ready. I was sending the hangout link to the Whiskey Rev, and I was trying to send out a reminder to the folks on Patreon to join the show, and just sending out the link to join this. And I accidentally pasted in the hangout thing. So perhaps I'll have to keep checking back to the hangout window to see if any of the patrons have dropped in. I can see the Whiskey Rev. Hello, sir. Good to see you in there. I can see you've just joined the call. Yeah, so that was crazy. So there might be throughout this short pre-show, we might have a few strangers clicking on the wrong link and appearing in the call. Apologies for that. Mikey Hayes in. Mikey, fantastic to see you. Gillian, welcome in again, Gillian B. Who else do we have in? Gus, superb to see you, Gus. Fantastic. And Whiskey Jason from Germany. Superb to see you in as well, Jason. Thanks for joining, my friend. So there's quite a few of us in tonight. And yeah, the Whiskey Rev, interestingly, was just asking before I went live on this call there. He was asking what the pre-show was. He's been busy the last few lives that we've done. And recently I've started to do these kind of pre-show things just so that I get a kind of more relaxed chance to hang out with the patrons and maybe get a chance to interact with you a little bit on the chat and see what you're saying before the craziness of the live and just how busy the chat is there. I don't have much of a chance to keep up. James is saying he's having a night off the hard stuff. He's looking forward to the show, but not looking forward to watching other people drink when I can't. Well, the Whiskey Rev and I were going to get together last night and to have a dram, but we didn't. And I had a dry night last night, which was good. I felt the benefit, I think, today. And after tonight, I'm going to take a bit of a break, I think. It's been tricky because there's been a lot of things happening recently, guests floating around and things, and I've found it difficult to have some nights off, which sounds bizarre. But, you know, when you're looking after people that visit the house and things, it can be tricky. But I think I'm going to take a bit of a break, James. I think it's a good idea to do it from time to time. It's good for your health, it's good for everything, but it's also good for your appreciation of whiskey, don't you think, as well? It just kind of helps you reset so that when you come back to it again, you seem to be enjoying it a wee bit more. And I find that if you don't take breaks, this is just me speaking, of course, you can get whiskied out really quite quickly. You can kind of just get a bit fed up and you're not enjoying it as much as you might otherwise be. Let's Drink Whiskey scene well played Aquavite. That's sending out the link. Listen, I made a bigger mistake than that, and I'm going to confess to the huge clanger I made on national radio today, but I'll talk about that a wee bit later. It's not a huge clanger, but it's embarrassing for me. Mikey's saying there might be a few gate crashers. Well, it's only patrons, so it doesn't really matter if the patrons drop in. In fact, it would be quite fun if some of them did drop in. It would be an opportunity to see them, wouldn't it? Whiskey Wolf is saying he's having a break from World Championship Snooker on Eurosport. Good for you. I'm glad to welcome you in here. You'll probably get one eye on the snooker and one eye on on the chat, right? Mikey's saying, your audio sounds a little bit more muffled than usual for me. Might just be me. Thanks for that, Mikey. Let me have a wee look just to check what mic I have set up. How is that? Is that better? I'll look for some responses there to see if that's any better. What I'd done is I was working today and I used a different mic for some Skype calls and some work hangouts just to keep this clear of the desk. So let's drink whiskey. Everybody's saying that's much better. That's much better. Fantastic. Drinking Caveman is saying, yeah, I clicked and it said to use my camera. I'm like, why does Roy want to see me? Well, we've been able to hang out before, Charles, right? But yeah, it wasn't intentional tonight. I'm glad you picked that up. Superb. The sound is not great today. I'm glad I fixed it. It seems to be better. That's one of the good things about the pre-show, I guess. But I wanted to just ask you, is this something that's worthwhile doing? I'm kind of sitting here getting ready for the live from about this time anyway. And for the sake of 25 minutes, half an hour with you guys, it just seemed like a kind of cool thing to do. And, you know, it's optional. You don't have to join in. And it's kind of one of the I suppose, one of the things that I can do for patrons that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. So the theme tonight is samples. I hope you guys have kind of dug out some samples, some dusty samples. I've kind of got this idea that there's lots and lots of these bottles kicking around in our whiskey collections, right? And unfortunately for me, some of them are like this, some of them are blank. And you can quickly forget. I've not forgotten what this is. I know exactly what this is. But it's not labeled. And if you forget, if you leave it there long enough, you can forget. And I tend to find it with samples. When someone gives you a sample, when they go to the effort of pouring from their own bottle or collection and they pack it up and seal it and give it to you as a kind of gift almost, they're not expecting anything in return most of the time. They're kind of excited to get some feedback from you, I think. They've found a whiskey that they like and they want to share. And I was thinking that it's actually, it comes with a bit of shame if I've got a drawer or a cupboard that's gradually collecting more and more samples. So that was the theme tonight, just to kind of come up with this idea where we have a sample night. And the samples that we're exchanging, maybe you're exchanging with me, I don't know. But certainly you're probably exchanging with somebody. We just break them out and enjoy them. Charles is saying Aquavita much better. Good. Looks like some at that boutique whiskey company photos. Yeah, this over my shoulder here. Let me switch on the camera to see my point in the right way. Of course I am. This frame, it used to be here on the sidewall, and it would have just been out of shot. But these are postcard labels from boutique whiskey company. After a tasting I did a while back, we got to keep these postcards that were really quite cool, that I quite liked the artwork for, and I just stuck them in a postcard frame and stuck them up there. I quite like it. And I've eventually got this picture, but you can't see it because of the lights in here, off the table behind me and hung up in the wall. I literally did that maybe half an hour ago. So yeah, that's exactly what those are, Charles. Well spotted. So of course it is. It's Travis. Travis Souders. Travis, Let's Drink Whiskey is you. You need a cool little logo like you used to have. You used to have that orange circle with your face in. You need a logo done. Do you know anyone that could help you with that? Drinking Caveman. Okay, you're just correcting yourself, no problem. Gus is saying he's having a break from Scotch too tonight. So bourbon and rye it is. Good man. Good man, Gus. And there's Jez in. Nice to see you in. Yes, Roy, it is completely appropriate. I wonder what you're speaking about there, Jez. Is taking a break or to bust out the samples. I don't have any samples. Well, we need to fix that, don't we, Jez? I've just had a message in from Welsh Toro. I forgot to switch off my notifications as well. You see how unprepared I am? This is a mess. Anyway, those of you that have got samples, what I was thinking we could do is in the live is that if you've got a sample that you're sipping tonight that you've eventually broken out and tried, the one I'm starting with tonight, and I will give Jason a shout out for this. This is from Jason, who gave me this little bottle of Glenkeith. It was kind of a tongue-in-cheek gift after he got me to try a NAS Glenkeith live. He'd reviewed it and he thought it was quite good for a NAS. I mean, he didn't give it a high score, but he said it was an acceptable whiskey. And I really didn't like it that much at all. It's been open a wee while now, so I should revisit it and go back to it. But this has been sitting downstairs. This is one of the coolest sample bottles I've had. It's actually a little cork sample bottle. It's really nice. So I'm enjoying that just now, and it's a really good starter. It's a really good calibrator. It's very in line with a kind of Glenmorangie type style. Nice and soft and honeyed. Travis is saying he has a 750 milliliter sample of Deanston 12. Good for you, my man. Good for you. So that's like our bottle of Deanston 12 plus a little 5cl mini on top, right? I've got a load of samples here that I've brought upstairs. Well, I've got the samples. I brought the samples up that I could identify, that I know what they are. I've unfortunately got a few bottles downstairs that, like I say, there's no label, or the labels come off or something, and I'm really not sure what they are anymore. Or perhaps they've been given to me in like a wee bag or a pack, and I've taken them out and obviously lost what they were at that point. They'll still be drank and enjoyed. I'll just not be able to thank whoever gave me them. Jez is saying that I think you doing these pre-shows is nice for patrons. Well, that's certainly the intention. That's exactly the intention. I'm blown away by the support I've had on Patreon. You guys, you're 35 strong now. And as time goes on, I'm just going to try and find little ways, just find ways to reach out to you, find ways to connect, find ways to reward, and really thank you for your support, for the support that you've shown me. It's fantastic. And when you have these kind of moments of doubt, or you're just not feeling it, you're just kind of feeling a little down and flat and not really sure whether you should be doing any kind of videos or lives or whatever, just having you guys there is really cool. Error has just joined in as well. Fantastic to welcome in. My friend, I wonder if you're okay with me using your regular name, or if you'd rather, I mean, you've got a pseudonym, you've got a handle for a reason, so I'll stick to Error McFault unless you tell me otherwise. I've got a little excerpt from the really cool message I got from you through Patreon. And if you're okay with it, and if you're not, it's completely fine. It's not the whole message, it's just two little kind of your story of how you got into whiskey and things like that, which is just the kind of stories that I love. I'd like to share that on the live tonight, if you're okay with it, Error. So let me know if you're okay with that. I wonder, I've realised that the Whiskey Rev can't join in with your chat because I've not given them the link, and it's an unlisted link. Rev, I'm going to send you through the link and apologise to you for not sending that beforehand. I'll send it to you right now. Obviously, that means that you can join in the live chat as well, my friend. Jez was asking, he was number 2 patron. Yeah, Jez, that was funny because I never announced that, and you were already following me. But the guy who beat you to it was actually Vin from No Nonsense Whiskey, and I understand why you wanted to do it, because you were also the first guy to give me a super chat, to donate through the super chat function, and it's just super cool. I'm very grateful for that. Vin beat you to it. I think he was watching the Patreon feed, waiting for me to set it to live, because I was his first patron. I was his first supporter when he started Patreon. And I think he really wanted to make sure that he was my first supporter as well. That's really cool. Nice to see that Graham is in. And also Jason, nice to see you in as well, buddy. I've just mentioned you. I'm halfway through your Glen Keith. Not tonight. This is the second dram I've had out of this. And I was commenting on how I came to receive this from you. Actually, I didn't mention that. I got it at the Fife Whisky Festival. But I brought up why you would give me a sample of a Glen Keith. And I'm on my second dram of it now. And enjoying it. Very nice indeed. Very, very light. If this is from the 90s, a 10-year-old from the 90s, there's not a lot of kind of old bottle effect in this. This still tastes very fresh. Very new. Jez is saying you do support him too. That's you support Vin. Superb. Everybody's welcoming in the Rev, and he's been missing for a few weeks. Rev, I guess you can give your own excuses, but I think life and perhaps life in the whiskey industry has been keeping you busy. You're in the car on the way back from Eden Mill. Yeah, I caught a little bit of your Instagram live earlier when I was running around getting stuff together. And I could see that you were in a nice little looking room there at Eden Mill. And I'd picked up this week that Eden Mill has just arranged or just released a range of little 20 cl bottles, which is a kind of cool way to do it because they've got this new whiskey coming out. They want to make some money out of it. They want to make it accessible. They're probably limited in stock and availability. Then they're selling them for £25 for a 20 cl bottle, which is fine. It's not fine when you scale it up. Obviously, if you scale up 20 cl, you're probably up at the £80–85 for a bottle. And for a brand new 3-year-old whiskey, that would be pricey. But it's much more expensive for them to do it in that way, I guess, to put them in these little hip flask bottles. But also what they're trying to get across there, I think, is the concept of variety. I haven't really looked much into it, Jason, so it'd be interesting to see what you tried or hear what you tried at Eden Mill today and how was it. Roy froze me out. Do you mean generally? Do you mean over the last few weeks, or do you mean tonight? I apologise, I did forget to send you the link tonight, Rev. Sorry, my friend. So yeah, I've been having a few disasters this week. I've made some blunders at work, some big mistakes at work. I've made some, not necessarily big mistakes, silly mistakes, just kind of trying to rush and do things too quickly. And I made some other mistakes as well, but you'll get to hear about the mistake I made on national radio today, which is more than a wee bit embarrassing. But I'm going to save that to the live because I only want to ever have to bring it up once. And then everyone can go off and hear me make the mistake. Okay, I'm getting messages in as well. I need to turn off my notifications. So that that's not coming through on the live. I used to have a checklist and then I got a bit lazy. Thought I had it all covered. Hopefully I'm a bit more prepared when I actually go live tonight. So do you have any samples? Is it only going to be me that's drinking samples tonight? I know that a lot of us in the whiskey community, we get involved in little clubs or little circles, or we get to know other people, or we're involved in social media. And we, even if we've not met people, we end up involved in sample exchanges and things like that. Is that the kind of thing that you're involved in? Do you find that when you do get the samples, you're drinking them straight away and you don't actually collect them? Or are you a bit like me that you put it aside waiting for the right moment and then you forget? Because the brand new shiny bottle that comes in its nice tin or packaging or whatever is more exciting than the wee sample bottle that you've forgotten. And you perhaps forget the sentiment that that was received with. And Travis is asking me, he said, do you enjoy working from home as much as I do? I think I appreciate working from home, and I appreciate also what I've lost through working from home. But I'm kind of just used to it now. And I think that if I went back to an office environment permanently now, I'm quite happy to go back into the office for a week, a few days, a couple of days, whatever. But if I had to go back permanently, I think I would go a bit crazy. I've been spoiled now, and I'm very happy working from home. Certainly gives you flexibility, but of course you're never away from the job. And I've no doubt that this whiskey is bright green again tonight. I messed around with the white balance, and I can, if I mess around hard enough, I can get the whiskey to look whiskey coloured. But everything else in the room is crazy, especially me. Charles is saying he can't drink a sample at work. Sadly, of course you're at work, Charles, aren't you? This must be tricky for you to do this. And I know we've talked about doing some kind of collaboration, and I hope that that can happen sometime in the future, Charles. Talk about your whiskey life on Instagram, talk about what you're doing on YouTube, and get together and things. But I know that that's going to continue to be tricky. And I'm finding as soon as I schedule anything with anybody in the States, is if they're on the East Coast, it's just about doable. They can get home from work a little bit early or something and do it. But if you're central or further west, for the guys in the States and Canada, that's proven to be tricky. And it's just one of these things I'm going to have to live with. If I want to do lives with those guys, I'm going to have to try and work it on a weekend or something, or catch them when they're on holiday. The Rev is saying, I'm kind of working out that I don't need to relay the chat anymore on the lives because of the live chat replay. And it's going to be the same as this. And when there's, how many of you are in tonight, actually? Oh, wow, 17 watching. Fantastic. So half of my patrons, wonderful, has managed to make this live tonight, which is fantastic. It's really cool. We just need to work out something cool that we can do in the pre-show, something that we can use the time in a kind of cool way. I can see that Jonathan's dropped in. Mead Mule. Hi, Mead Mule. Jonathan, fantastic to welcome you. I was speaking to Mead Mule earlier this week. Mead Mule is the Malted Man Cave's cousin. He's in the States. He's got his own social media channels. He's got his own blog, and he does his own reviews and things like that. Good stuff. He's also got a very keen eye for photography. And you'll remember, if you go back a few months, that when I had Keith on as a guest, Jonathan or Mead Mule was in the chat, and they ended up competing with each other, and it ended up being a draw. And Keith was suggesting that Jonathan had used the crowd for some of the questions and things like that, and it was just a kind of bit of fun, let's say, family competition. What I thought would be a cool idea is if I got Jonathan on live, either the both of them, Keith and Jonathan, on live at the same time, so it was completely level playing field. Or left Keith in the chat and got Jonathan on live, whichever was going to work. I thought that would be a cool idea, and I think you're up for it, aren't you, Jonathan? That would be a cool thing to do. Mikey's saying he's never had any samples. Do you, or did you ever buy samples from whiskey shops sites to try new expensive whiskies, or are they only really gifts from friends? No, do you know what? That makes sense to me, Mikey, because for years, I never really, samples weren't a thing for me either. And there was a couple of people that I exchanged samples with. There was a guy in the States a couple of years back, 3 years back, that I was exchanging samples with. A couple of people locally, but it wasn't a big, it was when I started to get involved in going to whiskey festivals and going to the whiskey club and being on social media. And through that, the sample thing started to gather a lot of pace. So it's only in the last couple of years I've started to collect a lot of samples, Mikey. So that makes sense. And to answer your question about if you're talking about the samples from Master of Malt and the Whiskey Exchange and things like that, I use that extensively. It's been a while since I've bought anything from there now, just because I think how much whiskey I've got downstairs now. I've not been buying that recently. But the Whiskey Rev and I used to get together every Wednesday night on Whiskey Wednesday, and we would regularly have a selection of samples bought to do exactly that, to taste before we buy, or just to taste whiskies that we probably weren't going to buy because of price or availability or whatever it might have been. So yeah, we used to do that, and I recommend that you do it. It's not the cheapest way, but if you taste something and decide that it's good, but you're maybe not going to buy it, and it saved you money. Jonathan says he's up for it, just not today, still working, so can only partially pay attention to the stream. Jonathan, I completely understand. That's just what I was talking about there with the time difference. Don't worry about it at all. I think you've said to me that you're on a central time, which is absolutely fine. But if you find that you're clear from work later tonight, and I would offer, I would throw it out to all my patrons first, is that I'm always kind of trying to get somebody to get involved in the quiz. I'm always trying to put the quiz out to somebody. In one of these weeks, it's going to come around that, well, there's always kind of somebody, but it tends to be a lot of the same folk that are really excited about the quiz and want to do it. But one of these weeks, I'm probably going to end up having to resort to perhaps not having a quiz if we can't get people to participate. But I guess I will run out of people eventually, and then just start looping it from the same. I know guys like Connor and Hoagie and things like that are always up for doing the quiz. I've actually noticed, Connor, you're here tonight. I've only bought samples. Most of my whiskey sharing is in person, so not building up same at home. Connor, are you tuning in from the Caribbean? Are you not already out in the Caribbean? Saying, glad I could make it. Tell me where you are, Connor. That's fantastic. If you've, I think it was Monday you travelled out there. You're just starting a gig at Foursquare Distillery, making rum in the Caribbean. If you've been able to tune in tonight and managed to get a Wi-Fi signal, that is awesome. Travis is saying, just wanted to share, I found out my wife is pregnant this month. Hey, fantastic, superb, superb. Is that your first, Travis? That's a reason to pour, isn't it? So I guess, what do I pour? I'm going to keep that in case that guy drops in tonight. Oh, there's a nice one there, but that's a PT1. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to raise a glass, Travis, of 40-year-old Canadian Club from Rob at Whiskey in the Six. Now, he was on last week and he asked if I had this handy, and I didn't have it. And he's not in the stream tonight yet. He might be on a wee bit later. Wow. Maybe needs a wee bit of air. I'm getting a bit of a rubber plimsoll smell from that. And quite fresh as well. Wonder what this looks like on the camera. What is this? Still bright green. Yeah, Travis, tell me, is it your first? Have you already got kids? How's things going? But that is fantastic. Congratulations. Superb. Green color 40-year-old whiskey. Yeah, do you know what, Jez? Until I can get a better camera, I'm just going to have to deal with the fact that we're going to be looking at me drinking greenish whiskey for a while. I should take a shot and share it on social media just to let people know that it's regular whiskey. It doesn't have fairy liquid or anything in it. Wow, that's really quite different and nice, but definitely different. How can something taste old and fresh at the same time? And is Canadian whiskey legislated the same as Scotch? Does the minimum component of this have to be 40, or is it like an average thing? Any Canadians in might be able to tell me. Maybe Jason, maybe you know. Okay. I've got a few things to do before we actually go live tonight. This goes very, very quickly. That's as Whiskey Wolf has just pointed out, as Rolf has pointed out, that's us half an hour in already. I'm going to go and speak to my friend the Whiskey Rev and get everything in order for later.
and I'm excited to welcome you all. And I'll lift my energy for the live, of course. When I'm here with you guys, it's just a warm up, and I just like to hang out and be relaxed, and we'll get things going on the live. If anybody wants to participate in the quiz tonight, please pitch in and let me know. I can see Sid is in. He did a great job last time round. A couple of you I know have participated in the quiz in the past, but if you're still around for it, please join in. I can't have the Whiskey Rev because some of the questions tonight are clearly his. And a lot of people have been asking me which questions are the Whiskey Rev and which are you, and where do you get the questions from? Do people contribute? Anyone is welcome to contribute questions. The difficulty is remembering where the questions come from, and remembering that you can't answer your own questions, I guess. But up till now, it's only been myself and the Whiskey Rev that's contributed questions. And some of the more difficult ones a few weeks back were the Whiskey Rev. But you'll see tonight that some of the ones that he'll contribute are regular as well. They're quite easy. So I've put a little stamp, a little Whiskey Rev logo on the questions that he's contributed. Fantastic, everyone. Well, give me some feedback. If you've got any suggestions how you would like me to use this time, I'd love to hear it. I'm going to go off and get ready for the show, and I look forward to welcoming you there. Thanks so much for your support, your continued support. You're wonderful people. You're my favourite people, of course. And I look forward to hanging out with you in the live. See you in 15 minutes.